65 million years ago, the Chicxulub meteor hit the Earth near the Yucatan Peninsula. Its impact kicked up so much dust that the sun was blocked for years. Photosynthesis ground to a halt. On the other side of the planet, perhaps accelerated by Chicxulub, one of the largest volcanic features on the planet was forming, the Indian Deccan Traps, belching out large amounts of climate-changing gases. Mass extinctions followed, including that of all the non-avian dinosaurs, which have been doing pretty well for themselves for many tens of millions of years. There is still disagreement about how long it took mammals to begin to diversify, to turn into the great chaotic mess of nearly 5,000 mammal species extant on the planet today, half of which are rodents, another quarter of which are bats, and the remaining quarter of which include forms as varied as dolphins and kangaroos, elephant seals and antelope, rhinoceroses and lemurs. Sometime back when dinosaurs still reigned, primates emerged from the mammalian ranks. Against the odds, our primate ancestors managed to survive the mass extinction 65 million years ago, as did the ancestors of every other organism on the planet today. 100 million years ago, well before Chicxulub, the common ancestor of all humans was a small, nocturnal, tree-dwelling primate. It was cute and fuzzy. The one point here, I have a footnote that you're not sure you agree with that. It was cute and fuzzy and lived in small family groups. You just didn't want it in there.
I think it's undignified to call it cute and fuzzy.
I think that our 100 million year old primate ancestor was undignified. That's what I think.
That is possible.
Yeah. It was cute and fuzzy and lived in small family groups. As primates, we developed greater agility, dexterity, and sociality. We primates are still eukaryotes, animals, vertebrates, craniates, bony fish, amniotes, and mammals. Each successive, less inclusive group providing greater precision rather than putting the lie to any earlier group membership. Primates developed opposable thumbs and big toes, acquired pads on our finger and toe tips, and replaced claws with nails. Everything about our hands and feet was becoming more dexterous, more suited to fine motor activities. We early primates became excellent climbers too, by virtue of the terminal long bones in our legs and arms becoming less cemented to one another, less stuck in place. Climbing ability came at the cost of some stability on flat ground, which provided even more reason to hang out in trees. As primates, we became more visual and less olfactory. Our noses shrunk and our eyes grew. Primates are not as good at the chemical senses, olfaction or taste, as are the other mammals. Just as mammals before us got brainier relative to their ancestors, we primates got brainier too compared to the other mammals. At the same time, gestation length expanded, but babies cooked for longer inside mom before being born. Litter size fell, so mothers had fewer children at a time to tend to. The period of parental investment after birth lengthened and intensified, and sexual development happened later and later, giving ever more time for young primates to learn how to feel, how to think, and how to be. And there's another section about that long that I can read, or we can stop there.
Your call.
Yeah, well, that's primates for you.
That's primates for you.
Right? And in part, I wanted to read that section to point out that so many of the things that we think are so unique to humans are not what we would call synapomorphs of humans. They're not unique and derived to humans. We inherited them from our ancestors, and it's certainly true that humans are unique in ways that far surpass the uniqueness of really any other species. We're more unique, as Dick Alexander, your advisor and one of my mentors, wrote in his extraordinary monograph from 1990, 1991, the uniquely unique species. And that sounds like a redundancy, but it's
intentionally
it's utterly true. And yet the fact of us having these I don't know if it's neocortexes or neocortices, along with indexes and indices.
I'm going with neocortices. Sounds way better.
Yeah. We have these neocortices that are doing jobs that have been borrowed. Like in ancient times, what is now curled up and this massive brain here, a lot of it was entirely about smell. And so the fact that smells can trigger memories, for instance, is not just an accident. It's not just, a delightful error. In fact, it's just a repurposing of structures that, especially for primates, as we became more and more visual. So, mammals became these great smellers. Birds don't smell very well. Birds are incredibly visual.
With some exceptions.
Birds?
Like vultures.
Yes, true. And similarly, mammals are the great smellers of the vertebrate world, with some exceptions, notably primates, and probably the aquatic ones as well. Right?
Well, fish are the great stinkers. at least on land.
They're not mammals, right?
Yes. No. Yeah. And I'm just...
You're talking about fish sensu lato?
Mammals are the great smellers. Fish are the great stinkers when on land.
That's not helpful. No, it's really not.
Sorry.
So, essentially, some of what we imagine is unique to us, being so visually acute, is really about what our primate ancestors were doing, and there's a lot more. The closer you get to us in time, the more you see, this reduction in litter size and this extending of childhood, and then we get, a move away from seasonal births to having babies and therefore being reproductively available and interested all times of year. All of these things are not unique to humans, but they are in our relatively recent past, and they all inform what it is that we're doing today.
So I would just add that we had a discussion, I can't remember, maybe it was in a Q&A from a recent live stream, in which we talked about what creatures had the potential to, if we disappeared, what creatures might have the potential to do something like what we had done. And one of the things that conversation settled on was that it isn't just being a very intelligent social creature, but it's also having the body plan that facilitates the manipulation of the world, the testing of hypotheses, etc. And so something like a toothed whale, a dolphin, or an orca, which is a dolphin, would be handicapped in some sense in reproducing our gains, because having flippers instead of hands, it's not in a good position to construct things from experiments to buildings to anything. And the point is, okay, how marvelous. The opposable thumb, right, which we all, understand to be somehow important, is really initially about gripping branches, right? And the point is, that's a practical maneuvering around the world condition, but that ends up being a precondition for the manipulation of objects. And anyway,
I'm not totally sure of that, because it's very hard to figure out the ordering of the character evolution, but the opposable thumbs and the loss of claws and replacement by nails are kind of right next to each other in evolutionary space in our history. And it feels like if it was about gripping branches specifically, like we can pronate and supinate. But if it was mostly about gripping, then the claws, it seems like, would be helpful. And instead we see a loss of claws around something like the same time. And it's possible that someone has better granularity on the timing of that character evolution relative to the other, but I don't at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm now out of my depth. I've always imagined that nails are somehow a better backing for the sensory capacity of the fingers.
Right, but that's about manipulation of stuff.
Right, but so I guess nothing, I could be dead wrong about the gripping of branches and the role that it plays. I doubt it. But even if the gripping of branches very quickly leads to, now you've got a structure that is capable of manipulation. And so even in very primitive primates, you still have an advantage in being able to manipulate and sense up here, which, so even if nails are quickly on the heels, it doesn't mean that it is not the precursor to the manipulative capacity that is so key to what we accomplished as humans.
I'm just saying it just requires, you have implicit in what you're saying a hypothesis about character order, about the order of character evolution, and I don't know that we know that to be the case.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to find out. Yeah, I guess it is a hypothesis that makes a prediction.
Right, and you were introducing it as an assumption rather than a hypothesis, and I'm not sure that's borne out by the evidence.
All right, well, we're going to find out because it's going to come.
No, I don't think we are. Is my point. Because this is such deep history, and claws and nails don't fossilize, and I don't think like the attachment. It's all going to be soft tissue. I'm not sure there's going to be any evidence, really. But
well. Yeah, well, we'll see. If there is evidence, it will show up. It will contact us probably over email.
That's not actually how it works, but okay. I will go looking, and I suspect that I won't find anything.
Okay.
What else? What else do you want to talk about?
Well, geez, I feel like we've done an awful lot. We've gotten to mammals, whether you see them as cute and fuzzy or...
I think now most of them are. I think that first one, though.
Not elephant seals.
Not elephant seals. Not manatees, frankly. I know some people think so. But, whenever people say, manatees is probably the origin story for mermaids, I'm like,
You got to be at sea a long
Yeah,
time.
or be really nearsighted. Something.
Yeah. I agree. There are a few not so cute mammals.
You got that Centurio Synex bat that has a flap of skin that he uses to cover his face, so he doesn't scare his.
Demonstrate that properly, you have to hang upside down and pull the flap.
You got to put some hooks in the ceiling, man.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, what other mammals are really hard to look at?
Some people.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly.